Tonight, with the open session, we have approval of agenda. Everybody's okay?
Yep.
Any disclosures of interest on the agenda? No? We have no delegations tonight, so we'll get right into the previous minutes from previous meetings. Resolution 170-21, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Sales, that the minutes of the Council and Committee of the Whole meeting held June 8, 2021 be accepted as circulated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Business arising from the minutes. Resolution 171-21, moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Stefuric. The Council approves the Recreation Programmer's proposed implementation of a geocaching project at a cost of $169.90, excluding applicable shipping or taxes. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 172-21, moved by Councillor Sales, seconded by Councillor McGrath. The Council authorized a donation of a t-shirt and a hat to the Schreiber Public Library in the amount of $38.98, excluding applicable taxes, for the 130th anniversary Spin to Win event held June 19th, 2021. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Guess who won the hat? I did. Or we traded gifts. Well, and the person that donated the poker gift, they won it back, so we just switched gifts. Anyway, Resolution 173-21, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Sales. The Council authorizes sponsorship to the Agasaw Golf Club in the amount of $300 for a spot on the club's scorecards. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
I wonder when that might take effect.
Right away, they, I believe they ordered them.
Yeah.
I believe they ordered them, so let's be good for another 4 years, 5 years. The way I understand it. Accounts for payment. Resolution 174-21, moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Stefuric. The bank debits paid out of the general bank account in the month of May 2021 in the amount of $35,011.07 be approved and ratified. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 174-21, moved by Councillor Sales, seconded by Councillor McGrath, that Resolution 42-21 be rescinded in its entirety. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Carried. You wanna just
Yep.
that's a vote?
Yeah, so the Township of Schreiber reviewed and accepted the drinking water system financial plan prepared by Aqua at a regular meeting held March 2nd, 2021. Unfortunately, the plan number accepted was the number on the draft plan. When Aqua completed the draft, the plan number was changed. The original resolution accepting the plan needs to therefore be rescinded, and a new resolution needs to be passed with the correct plan number.
Good, okay, that's all it is.
Why,
Thanks, Nathan.
why would it have gotten changed? I don't get that.
That's probably part of the process that MECP does when they approve the license, so
Right.
that's the main thing I'd imagine. I imagine it would be easier to track with one number, right? You can see the whole project as it goes, but it's how they organize things.
Threw us a curveball.
Okay,
You can see this?
yeah, that's 174.
So it's
Yeah.
174,
So that should be
175.
175.
Oh, so.
So just initial that. And then that needs to be changed to 176.
Thanks, Cecile.
Thank you. Okay, resolution 176-21, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Sales. The council has reviewed and accepted the Township of Schreiber Drinking Water System Financial Plan number 5897-2067, prepared by the Ontario Clean Water Agency in accordance with Ontario Regulation 453/07. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Other business? Resolution 177-21, moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Stefuric. That bylaw 2021-2021 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a services agreement between the Township of Schreiber and CQNS be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion?
CQNS stands for
That's a good question. I was trying to look it up, but that's how they brand themselves, CQNS. CQNS. I can look into that and let you know, maybe send them send them an email to ask that question. Yeah.
Okay,
If that's all, on all the correspondence, it's just CQ.
CQNS.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is in regards to investment attraction consulting services, right?
Exactly. They're
Right.
yeah.
they're going to be coming up with that marketing strategy for the town.
Yeah, looks good.
All those in favor?
You know what it stands for?
You find this?
Smart marketing happens in sequence, CQNS, get it?
Oh.
That's what their website says.
You found it. Sequence.
Sequence. Good name for a rock band.
Start one, yeah.
Sure. I'll be the drummer.
So you already got all that one, Nathan? Okay, that being, we'll move into the committee of the whole portion of the meeting. We'll have the department reports and the committee's board meeting minutes. Number one is Director of Operations report on the ice plant repairs and startup.
We have a recommendation from the Director of Operations that council hire Simcoe Refrigeration to do all the repairs and start up at the Schreiber Arena Ice Plant for $10,779.11, excluding applicable taxes.
And they're the people that shut it down.
They do shut down
Simple, yeah.
that startup.
They shut down here. Right?
Right.
So they became aware of things that need to be repaired, et
Correct.
cetera, et cetera.
Right, so when they come back in, October, I guess.
How long have they been doing it?
Simcoe, as long as I remember, they've been,
Yeah?
yeah,
That's out of Thunder Bay,
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
So when they come down, they'll bring all this stuff with them, they know exactly what to do. So.
Well, they'll probably come down, I don't know if they rebuild it right there, or they'll come down and get it rebuilt, and
Okay.
once,
They'll figure it
if
out.
we okay the recommendation tonight, then,
Yeah, they'll do it.
And there's a bit of strategy involved too, you know, we don't want to start it up before we have any games or anything, so it's a bit of a balance. We need to see when they come to do the startup. That's always a tricky thing, because the moment it's started up, and especially in warmer months, we're going to pay a lot more in the cost to keep everything cool. So
okay, so, the recommendation is, to get them to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
We're all good with it, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Director of Operations, number 2, Director of Operations report and wastewater.
So the recommendation here from the Director of Operations is that council accept the quotation from Aqua for the contract administration and project management for the Schreiber wastewater treatment plant electrical upgrade project. Management services at the cost of $19,800.
Yeah, that's about almost half of what the other
Yep.
company quoted, like, I mean, what would be the difference here in the quotes? Would there be a difference, or is it all time and travel?
Well, yeah,
You know,
they're the guys that do the work for them
So
too.
it's,
Could be that Aqua can do a lot of things in-house
In-house.
with their current staff. you
With
know.
the staff, that are the normal employees of the
And I mean,
wastewater, yeah, so.
and I mean, from our perspective, right, this is something that we wanted to contract out because all these electrical upgrades, you need someone who has that expertise. If we're gonna tender
Yeah.
out all these electrical upgrades, again, how do we know that they were done correctly? How do we know
Yeah.
that we got our money's worth when it comes to the proper equipment that needs to go in there?
Yeah.
So we need to have someone with that, I think Aqua is gonna be likely contracting an engineer, electrical engineer to
Yeah.
verify that for us. And that way it makes it much easier when we get, when we say the invoices in from a contractor saying, and we have Aqua that can then put the stamp saying, they did put in, you know, $20,000 worth of this work, and it was done properly from what we can tell.
Yeah, we have the expertise and the cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Win-win.
This is really good for quality control.
And,
We're talking $350,000.
Yeah, well, for the electrical repairs, yeah,
Like,
roughly.
I mean, how is it that all of a sudden the electrical upgrades, you know, what necessitated that? Did something
Yeah.
happen, or, you know, I don't get that.
So what happened was, we had the, I believe it was the TSSA that, they came in to do an inspection of the facility, and, what they determined was that, a lot of the electrical components over years, we're talking about like 40 years, right, have, were corroded, and what they wanna make sure is that, everything, all the electrical in there is now explosion proof. Because they don't want it to be in any way hazardous. So what that's left us to do is basically look at upgrading all that electrical equipment so that there's no hazard involved. So this is something that's mandatory and compliance related.
Well, who's TSSA?
That's
Technical
the,
standards.
yeah, electrical standards.
Who knew?
They'll be taking a lot of the, wiring, a lot of the main wiring out of certain areas, and they'll be put into a drier area, let's put it that way, a drier area, so there won't be so much moisture, and then it's explosion proof.
With newer technology.
Everything changes in the day, eh?
Yeah. So that's to be expected, you have that kind of deterioration
Yeah,
over
it's
40
just-
years.
And this is tied in with the other project.
Yeah.
And we did have, budgeted,
Yep.
for
Still looking
for the
funding.
for the price that Aqua, actually they came in under, so we're good that way.
We've identified potential funding for the UV project. So I'm going to have a meeting with Dominic to plan on how we can apply for that grant, and we'll be looping in Aqua to help us in whatever way possible too. I know that there's a small window, and for that grant they're looking for shovel-ready projects, so we need to see where Aqua is when right now with the all the specification drawings that they're working on for the UV project.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to take a shot at that. And in terms for funding for this project, I'm gonna have to discuss with OCIF to see if this could potentially fit in and whether that's something that we want to use. The OCIF funding that's provided for us can be used for certain infrastructure projects. We have around $300,000 in that fund. We get money every year if we don't use it, and it just keeps on adding up. So I'll have to double check. We'll have to see if it's eligible.
Well, that's good news that there may be a potential some grant money in there. That's good.
We've identified things, right? We can only celebrate once we actually put an application in and we have a contribution
Yeah.
agreement saying that we did get it. And to answer your question, Doug, it's the The TSSA is a technical standards and safety authority. It's a regulatory authority that administers and enforces technical standards in the province of Ontario in Canada. It's a non-profit organization that's been given powers by the government of Ontario to create and enforce public safety rules in areas such as elevators, ski lifts, amusement park rides, fuels, boilers, pressure vessels, and operating engineers in order to protect lives and the environment.
Okay. We're all okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, number 3 is the Community Economic Development Manager Report, the North Shore Art, the mural project.
So, as promised, here are the renderings for all the murals.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Do we have to pick? No, we don't have to pick one. I'm glad we don't have to pick
Well,
one.
we got we
Nice,
got just
eh?
about the right amount of submissions that
Yeah.
everyone who submitted should have.
It'd be hard to say no to any of these.
Exactly.
Like Nathan said, every artist that's submitted has got one in there,
Yeah.
and then there's one extra.
Okay, yeah, that's good. A lot of local stuff, actually.
Yeah, they're all 120%.
Yeah,
They're beautiful, every one of them.
It's beautiful to see all the different art styles. I think the public will be really excited to see this project when it's
Yeah.
completed.
Lots of talent in our area.
That's not just our area, we got, there's one off the top of my head, there's, one from British Columbia that actually that person sent 2. And,
Yeah.
one of them is there, but she, Cindy had, connections to Schreiber, she used to live here, so.
Oh, okay. Good stuff.
And that will be getting going as soon as Dom gets back, like Dom's back to work
Friday.
Friday. So it won't be getting going Friday, but, we couldn't spend any of the project money until, I believe it's July 12th, but we can start to get all, everything in a row there now, get all our ducks in a row and get ready to go. And, I've been getting a few emails from a couple of the artists, wondering where we are in this project, so we gotta get going on that. It's gonna look good. Okay, the number 4, Community Economic Development Report on Downtown Revitalization.
So again, this is just an update. We've got the tender back. It came in a bit over our budget, and from our discussion with the bidder, we're quite confident that we'll be able to present a scope that will be on budget to council. Again, part of this is we also want to put in a sufficient amount of money for contingency, just to make sure that everything is aligned up perfectly and we don't go over project budget. So that's part of what we're gonna have to again figure out for this project is, and also like we want to spend the entire amount of grant money allotable. So only as we continue the project we'll be able to really determine, you know, whether there's any other additional expenses, but there should not be too much identified. Again, this was something that was engineered, but anything can happen.
Is this entirely covered with grant funding?
The grant funding was covering up to essentially 90-10, so we'll be putting in 10% of funding ourselves, and the province and feds will be providing the other 90%. There is some money that is a bit extra. Again, we had engineering costs involved that weren't eligible in this project to be applied. But it's still gonna be a substantial amount of grant money for getting a good deal on this project. So what we're gonna do is work with negotiating with the contractor, proposed contractor, and see what we can get in terms of scope. And the next steps is, before we can go into a contract with this contractor, we'll bring that scope to the council, and everyone here can vote if that's what they're comfortable with getting done for a specific price.
It had a closing date June 17th. But, so this is with RML contracting.
Yes, we're negotiating with RML.
So what, you know, what can we do that these, this expense stays within what's stated here? You know, like,
Well, we're looking to identify particular scope cuts, design changes, substitutions in materials, and.
you know, so things don't go up and up and up. I mean,
Exactly.
then you're into the taxpayers' dime.
That's where we don't wanna go.
Right.
And we feel very, Nathan and myself have had some talks with them, that we feel very comfortable, well, not with them, with Thunder Bay Engineering. We feel very comfortable with the contractor too, with what he's come back to the table with, and he's gonna be not easy to work with, but he's willing to work with us.
Yeah.
So we should see some action this summer.
Yes. They wanna start in August, so 1 month from now.
Yeah, it'll be on his timetable, really.
But the plan is, at least for next year, this thing should be
Completed.
fully
Up
completed.
and running.
Should we enter into a contract?
Yeah.
Good, that's good.
Good. Okay, number 5, the occupational health and safety meeting minutes. Seeing them there, they're pretty straightforward. Number 6, Schreiber Senior Center Committee meeting minutes, May 2021 and June 2021.
I could probably, I'll give an update on what's going on with the senior committee.
Yeah, and number 7 too, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, great.
So the overview, Kathy's overview talks about the seed program. There were 17 plots of marigolds that were available to be distributed to members of the senior committee, and there was 17 plots, and they were all distributed except for there were 6 left over. And these were given, some were given to the beautification committee for use around town, and the rest were given to the library to put around the library and in Village Farms community garden. So that was an excellent project. Along with that, the seed bags were distributed. The library did a really good job bagging seeds, and they were distributed to senior committee members. So 150 members took advantage of this program. So that was a good thing at the time of COVID. So the iPad program, all the iPads, I think, from the library, 14 from the senior committee, they're out there now. There's no timeline on bowling. It's automatically renewed if you take one out. And right now there's more iPads available than meet the demand. There is a demand. So So birthday celebrations, that's ongoing. Bingo's ongoing. The last bingo was on June 14th, and the first person to get the letter X on the bingo card would win a frozen pizza from Hungry Moose. So there's a few of them left. Zoom gardening sessions are ongoing. 25 attended the last meeting. They have some pretty good guest speakers on there that are very knowledgeable about gardening. Here in town, there's a garlic growing contest going on for whoever grows the largest garlic. I don't know how big they get, but they'll be big this year, I'm sure. So, barbecue. So we did get approval from Thunder Bay District Health Unit. So originally we had planned July 1st for a barbecue, but that won't happen. So it'll be July 8th. It'll be our first one. So that'll be a good one. That'll be I think everyone's looking forward to that. And a couple other things that we're looking at is a movie night, possibly a movie night, working with the rec committee on having an outdoor movie night. The internet discount for seniors, reaching out to Tiny Hadju to see if we can get that going. And virtual garden interviews around town with the media center helping out, get some interviews with some of the gardeners around town. Right now, the update today was 311 members. So that's huge.
Yeah, doing an awesome job.
Yeah, so great stuff by the senior committee under Kathy Carlino's leadership. So
Yeah, that's for
Good.
sure. Number 8, the Schreiber Public Library meeting. Everybody good with that? Dave was gonna be here to talk to it.
I did have a question, but I don't know if anybody could answer that. I think I answered it was what, or I think it says somewhere down here, what the Hoopla database was. A new database called Hoopla offers a wide variety of online resources such as ebooks, audio, movies, and music. There is no waiting period or holds, however, there would be a monthly checkout limit for patrons. So that's something new.
Yeah.
That's a good resource. So that's something that jumped out at me in here in this report.
And it's a trial program till January.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, number 9, 10, and 11, the aqua reports. Go through them one at a time if you want, or anybody got any questions on any specific one, or?
No, what I'd like to do sometime, and we haven't had the opportunity with COVID, but maybe take a walk through those facilities again.
Yeah.
We did that when we initially came on council, not really understanding a lot about it, but over the past 3 years, we've seen a lot of things going on and authorized
We've got
money
some.
for repairs, so it'd really be interesting to me to go through and see exactly how that system works again.
Okay, I'll reach out and
Yeah,
see what can be
whenever we
arranged.
can. I know it's difficult right now, but we still have time. So.
Yeah, we might wanna put that off for a little bit, but.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Anybody that wants to participate.
Yeah, I went up and I just took a look at the pressure meters, the last job that they did there.
Yeah.
And don't think they're working right now. The that they were installed, and, I could be wrong in saying that, beautiful job.
Yeah.
I don't know who the, contractor was or anything, but they did nice work, real nice work.
Gonna be automation now.
Yeah, I believe you're right, yeah,
The main contractor we
Yeah.
use.
yeah.
Yeah, it's, the way these reports are, I mean, the work order summary reports are well done, I mean, they're well documented. Somebody gets a call in, they go in, and it's really well documented, they know exactly what they have to do there, so.
Yeah, actually, me and Nathan were saying we're gonna walk through after the COVID, but yeah, get everybody,
Yeah.
and Patrick, and the operators would be only too happy to bring us through
Yeah.
again. I mean, we are, now, we're the owner of, you know.
That's right, yeah. You should know, have a good handle on what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
It would be good to see, like, physically and tangibly, all these things that we've approved, right,
Yeah.
what they look like.
Yeah, and then once we get out of this COVID too, that we can have the, I think we were talking about quarterly, reports, with, Patrick or Joanna or whoever coming and whatnot, get back to that on cases, cause it's huge. Okay, hearing no more questions on, the opera reports then, have we got anything for question period?
Nope.
Okay. We'll go right into the communications then. There's a bit of communications there, people. Anything, number one, Julianne there.
Yeah, that kind of jumped out at me too, because, do we normally get asked to support, a member of the House of Commons on a bill? Do we often see that?
Actually, I got that, email to me also, so, no.
Yeah, so that's kind of seemed unusual.
And in our correspondence, there's two. This is one, and there was another one from MP.
Yeah, is that something new?
Constituency is in Alberta for firearms.
I guess they're asking us to lobby on their behalf to get this passed in Parliament. I mean, I think this is a good one. I don't know what our normal response would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one was number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Stumps.
Yeah.
Just we get, definitely a number of support, number one, if that's what we normally do, I agree with you.
Yeah, the message is good, so.
He's requesting an endorsement there, so all we have to do is just fill in.
Yeah.
That's a federal member of parliament.
Yep.
Yeah.
His constituency is in British Columbia,
Yeah.
and the other one is in Alberta.
we'll look into it and maybe we'll put it over to our July meeting.
Sure. That's good.
We'll look into,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see that. Okay, anything else? Jump out at anybody? We've supported a few of these already, resolutions already.
This one here about, number 15, capital gains tax on primary residence. I think it says the federal government is looking at possibly, creating a capital gains tax on primary residence, which now is exempt.
Did we not do that one already?
But, not that I know of.
No, I can't.
I would hate to see that happen.
Can't see that going very far.
Oh, man, I would say
Another tax?
we may want to support this one.
Yeah,
Is this the Township of Schreiber is in favor of this?
No, they're saying that we should voice our discontent, or voice our concerns on another tax.
yeah, I think we support that.
Well, where does the whole idea of this capital gains tax on primary residence, where's that coming from?
Well, they're saying the federal government is looking at this option.
Right.
I'll read out the key point here. This is from Erie, which they're supporting. They're saying, whereas the federal government could look at other means to slow down the rapidly escalating housing costs to improve housing affordability, now therefore be it resolved that the federal government cease further consideration of eliminating capital gains tax exemptions on primary residences. So they're saying that they want the federal government to cease considering the elimination of capital gains taxes on primary residences.
So it's already in effect.
That's what it sounds like.
No, it says cease further consideration.
On the
Further
elimination.
consideration On the
It doesn't read quite well.
It doesn't read quite well, yeah.
I know what you mean.
Just for clarification, then,
They're looking into a primary residence capital gains tax. Right now, there is no capital gains tax on your primary residence. They're looking into taxing your primary residence. If you sold it, and you had capital gains, you're gonna tax it. Right now, they wouldn't do that, so I don't think anybody wants to see
No.
another tax, yeah.
Especially when housing right now is an important asset, it seems, throughout the country, so.
So we'll look into that. I mean, essentially, council here is saying that you do not want to support this capital gains tax is
Right.
the position. Okay.
Right.
We'll just double check what the the wording is here.
Okay, well, that's how I read it is.
It's because it has like a double negative, right? So. Cease further consideration of eliminating. It's a very confusing way to put it.
Yeah, you can read it either way. But
Well, there's another clause there. I'll just read it. Whereas the federal government is currently looking into a primary residence capital gains tax. That's about the third whereas there. look at it a little closer.
Yeah, I think ultimately, if you want to support this one for Fort Erie, if the message is
Yeah.
indeed
Yeah,
saying
yeah, you wanna support the original.
no capital gains tax,
Yeah.
which I think is what it is saying.
Yeah,
But we'll just double check the wording to be sure. It's also right, a possibility in any of these resolutions where we can accept some of the, whereas statements and all of that, but ultimately change, what we do, if we do our own letter of support, that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
It's much easier if we support
right, whatever.
theory or whatever.
Right. So the other one I looked at, Nathan, is, it's, number 5. You may be able to maybe shed some light on what they're saying here is, what considers the local planning appeal tribunal.
So essentially, the LPAT, or Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, is
Yeah.
it used to be called the OMB, which is call it quasi-semi-judicial tribunal. It was a long term kind of describing it. The whole role of the OMB, and this is a whole debate, is whether it should exist or not. Some municipalities get frustrated because what the OMB was created to do was to, let's just say, if someone wanted to develop something here, and we say no to that development, then they could appeal to OMB, and the OMB would then have planners from our side, a planner from the developer side, basically debate, and that tribunal would come to a decision on whether they support the township or they support the developer. So in a lot larger municipalities or cities, such as in Toronto and all, like these LPAT or OMB hearings happen all the time. It costs a lot of money in order to have this, happen. It takes a lot of resources. It's like essentially going to court on planning related issues. So some communities don't like this kind of what they describe as a paternalistic approach, where you have this third party just coming in and overruling council's decision, right? So a lot of communities are saying the decision of council, which is democratically elected, is the final decision. You don't want a third party court coming up with a decision to overrule a democratically elected council. So that's just some of the debate, on should the OMB exist or should it not. It was created a long time ago when the province was initially very wary about municipal councils, and they didn't want to leave a lot of power with municipal councils at the time. On the other hand, it's always if you're not happy with council's decision, appeal to the OMB.
Right.
So it is another avenue for,
Yeah, so is this something, question is this something we want to support this,
So here they're not in favor of LPAT.
Not the LPAT, yeah.
LPAT was just a rebranding of OMB. At the time, what happened, right? The Liberal government came in and changed OMB to the Local Planning Appeals Tribunal. It's changed all the rules. And what happened when the Conservative government came in was they switched it back to the OMB, but they still kept the name the same.
Yeah. So do we want outside interference for our little community? Probably not.
You're talking the Ontario Municipal Court,
Yes.
right?
They just gave it a name change to LPAT.
Yeah. So if it's costing us, it's gonna cost us money to.
Yeah, and it's
It doesn't-
difficult.
it
There's
doesn't
not
make sense.
really a clear, what you say, if it was that clear, right, there would be a solution. It's very difficult in terms of, is it, a yes or no answer, right? Planning is quite complicated, right? And for planning decisions, we really depend on the expertise of our lawyer and planner, right, to, provide us, with that insight before we make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're making a, you know, an instant decision on any planning. We're getting outside advice and then making the best decision we feel is necessary. So do we want to extend that whole process and cost us more money? I would say no. I would say no.
And the question of development, right, is always very contentious.
Yeah.
Very contentious. Some people like development as long as it's not next to their backyard.
Yeah.
Right, so there's a lot to consider, right? And I'm just saying, if you didn't have LPAT, right, you'd have to keep in mind that your decision would be the be-all and end-all decision on a proposed development, right? So
Yeah.
some communities, they want that because Halton Hills, they have a huge planning department.
Right.
They have multiple staffers, right, coming up with all the information you need from a planning perspective.
Yeah.
So they're saying, why on earth do we have these huge planning departments, and why on earth are we having Alpha just overruling what the planners decide?
Yeah.
It's almost like council shouldn't just make any planning
Yeah.
decision, right, and just have it go to LPAT, because the developers have enough money that if they want their major condo building,
Yeah.
put in, they're gonna.
Yeah, if they're willing to
Fight it.
spend money on
Yeah.
lawyers and whatever else, they're gonna get their way. It might not be what your community wants, so.
So it's quite complicated. I wish I could give you, is it better with or without? It's very political.
Yeah.
I read a lot of papers on that when I was my undergrad.
So is this something we want to support, or is it just something?
I think I'd leave it for right now.
Leave it be, and then we can revisit it, or something
It's-
else we can look at
it's-
later.
It's a bit cloudy what the benefit would be to support
Yeah,
or not support.
all right. Good discussion.
Yeah. Okay, if everybody's done with communications, we can move on to unfinished business. Sounds like everybody's done with that, so we'll move on to number one, the draft flag policy.
So our existing flag policy, all it is it says that flags will be lowered, put half-mast if, there is a death of member of parliament, the royal family. It's quite basic. And what we got here was, again, for a lot of the local towns, Terrace Bay was updating their flag policy. So we're doing the same, and it's to provide some semblance of fairness for any sort of flag requests, and to set the grounds on what ultimately council can come up with a decision for anything in terms of having majority vote, but the policy sets at least a standard for providing some rationale when council is making a decision, right? So part of the past policy also was completely up to the mayor to decide in terms of what flags can be approved, not approved to. So this policy again provides a good overview of all kinds of things that we can take care of in terms of flag related. It is the exact same one that Terrace Bay is trying to pass.
Okay.
So we'll have the same set of rules as Terrace Bay when it comes to these flags.
Yeah, looks good.
That draft for the Township of Schreiber animal control bylaw, number 2.
So this is to replace the existing 41/2007 animal control bylaw. Both have been attached, so you can see the comparison. Calling this the responsible pet ownership bylaw, and what it does is it covers quite a bit for not just animal control, but for animal welfare, and provides council with quite a bit more options and tools when it comes to the welfare of animals in the community. The quickest way to understand it is to look at the set fine section at the very back. That, sorry, would be at the second attachment. So again, animals emitting noise, animals need to be provided with adequate food and care, all kinds of things there.
A lot of responsibility on the animal owner,
Yep.
which is pretty laid out here. It's pretty clear.
Right.
This off-leash area we've got happening back
Yep.
here now, has that been advertised, or is it going to be advertised, or?
It will be advertised this week.
Is it gonna have some signage there, or?
We just put up the signage. So signage and everything is done. The next part is we need to just do the advertising. So we'll do that this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that it stemmed out of all our talk about dogs on leash, not on leash, right? So we comprehensively looked at what we currently have in our existing bylaw and what we could supplement here to cover in many situations that may present itself.
Okay. So is everybody okay with the draft?
Good.
Yep.
Okay, and we got nothing under other business. So that would be the meeting, folks. Resolution 178-21, moved by Councillor Sales, seconded by Councillor Stefuric, that the meeting now adjourned at 8:01 p.m. All those in favor?